Hello, everybody. Louise Eddington, Cosmic Owl Astrology. I just wanted to hop on quickly to give you a little update about my book, Ceres in Astrology. It's doing really well. This morning, it was number 15 in the whole astrology category, and it's still a top new release in another category and all those kind of things. It's just getting out in the world really amazingly well. So thank you to all of you that have bought it, either signed copies from me or from elsewhere. If you have the book, I hope you will go to Amazon and leave me a review. Whether you bought it there or not, you can go to the Kindle version and leave a review. Please know that Amazon is being really slow at actually posting some of the reviews right now, probably because I sold so many signed copies individually, not through them. So they're checking all the reviews. Fine, whatever. So otherwise, yeah, the book's great. I'm going to be on Heather Roan Robbins' podcast. I'm on with her next week. I think we're live. You'll get all the details. I'm on a couple of other podcasts. I think Dabney Lawless Astrology is releasing the one we did together this Friday. I'm also on another new podcast with a couple of other astrologers that I love. But now I'm going to have a little bit of a rant about astrology in general. We are moving into a very big shift in our consciousness. You hear many opinions about it, or many kind of views, but I would call it the quantum era, and astrology has to shift, in my opinion. But people can do what they want, but I'm going to shift with it. We hear many people saying that our DNA is being upgraded and all this kind of stuff like that. Now, I don't know about that. That's not my bag, but I'm not saying they're wrong either. But I do know that the change has happened within me, and it's happening within the world and our consciousness collectively, and it's speeding up. Okay, and I'm going to call it quantum consciousness. Quantum science, I do not understand it all. I did do an amazing interview with Rick Levine about quantum science for my quantum astrology gathering, and I've decided I'm going to upload all those videos here on YouTube because they're too good, even though you can get them free on my website, but I'm going to just get them out in public. So the basics of quantum science is that everything's connected. There's wave, there's particle, but it's all kind of mixed, it's like, and there's shifting time zones and things. Then if you listen to my friend Steve Judd, astrologer, he was talking to a friend of his who's a quantum physicist, I think, and he was talking about planets having consciousness, which is something I have believed for quite a long time, because this is why I do like talk to the planets in shamanic journey work or in meditation or journaling. And so I'm about to kind of challenge the astrological hierarchy, patriarchy again. So in his foreword, Steve Judd said, "If her work unsettles the old patriarchs of astrology, so be it. We need unsettling." He called me almost, but not quite, a cyberpunk priestess of the stars. So maybe I'm stepping into that cyberpunk now. Anyway, I'm so annoyed. I'm not going to name the astrologer, but an astrologer came in my Facebook DMs this morning. He asked where I got the time and the chart for the discovery chart of Ceres, and this is the chart. Okay, I got this from Astro Databank, and it's a AA rated chart when Giano Piazzi discovered the planet. That was already there, right? Okay, now then, he came in and he was saying, that's when it was first seen, but this has to be rectified and checked over time with events and things like that to get the correct chart for the discovery. And I'm thinking, if it was first seen then by this collective consciousness that we're in, that's when it came into our consciousness. That's how I see it. This chart works for so many reasons, only a few of which I put in the book. Look at this, the discovery number. We look at this, 2323, the most human of numbers. And I'm stating that she is a personal planet. Okay, she is not to be ignored. She was exactly conjunct Algol, like the demonized demon star, who is actually a big force for fighting the patriarchy. Exactly conjunct in this chart. She's square to Saturn, which in some ways represents the old structures in Leo, like the hierarchy of rulers, of kings, of all that kind of thing. There's so much more I could say about this chart. There's to Chariclo and Juno being together there in Gemini, even though we didn't know about them on her discovery. And there's a lot I could say about the connection with the reclassification chart. Like Venus had a part in that chart, and we have a time for that as well. And I talk about these charts in my book, but now I'm not going to talk about the chart itself now. I'm talking about how we see charts. So what is a chart? A chart is a map of something created from a certain date, time, and place. Okay. And for one example of how the old patriarchy of astrologers love to fight is, especially when they call themselves mundane astrologers, which is the astrology of events, is about the chart for the USA. The most commonly used chart is called the Sibley chart. It has 12 degrees Sagittarius rising, and mundane astrologers argue all the flipping time over which chart is right for the USA. There's a constitution chart, there's this chart, they argue over the time of the Sibley chart, which actually I have no idea how Sibley, because that's the person it's named after, chose that time for the birth of the USA. It works. And I'm going to say that's when the idea of the USA was born. On Independence Day, July the 4th, 1776. And Ceres, the discovery chart the chart I am using, when it was first spied on January the 1st, 1801 by Giano Piazzi, works. That chart works. Do all the rectification you want, astrologers, the old patriarchy of astrologers. Go and fight over it forever and ever. I'm going to say that that's when the energy of this planet came into our collective consciousness in this timeline, whatever you want to call it, or age that we live in. There's even a possibility that the ancients who worship the Great Mother in, more than the Great Father, like we do, there's even a vague argument that they may have seen Ceres because they had dark skies. They didn't have the electric light blocking out the way that we do now, because some posit that Ceres can be seen with the naked eye under certain circumstances probably when she's closest to Earth and under a very dark sky, like maybe a new moon in a very dark sky place, and when she's closest to Earth. So, you know, but so because she's always been there, she's been hidden in plain sight. It's only this civilization, if we want to call it that, that discovered Ceres in on January the 1st, 1801. And I am perfectly fine with counting that moment that that planet was seen. Okay, let me read you the words. That moment of this moment of 8:43 p.m. is when Ceres was seen. But at that moment, its identity as a new body, as an orbiting body, or as a new star was not known. It was observed the next night, and that same body has moved. Yeah, well, it moves. At that moment, it was thought to be a new orbiting body. This is what I recall from some investigation a few years ago. Proof, of course, of the day and the time has to come by mundane chart rectification that involves Ceres-related events and also the synastry of the test charts against people that have Ceres strong in their lives. I'm sorry. No, not for me. Ceres consciousness came into our being when Giano Piazzi spied that body first, and it's recorded. So there you go. Can we just change astrology to be more quantum in nature and realize that everything is connected? And the planets, you can actually record the sounds they make, for heaven's sake. You know, the music of the spheres. There is sound recording of the noise, the sound that planets make. They speak to us. They speak within us. They speak without. We are connected. They work within us. They work without. And it all bounces off each other. So that's my rant over. Let's change astrology to be more connected, more right brain and left brain, for want of a better kind of word, more wave and particle, more wavical, more quantum in nature. And let's upset that old hierarchy. Bye.